Welcome to Reckless Fridays, everyone. I am your host, Marissa, and I'm here with my host, Dystro. Say hi.
Hello, everyone.
Happy Thursday, everybody. I hope everybody has had a decent week so far. This week's been okay. It hasn't been good, but it hasn't been totally terrible. It's kind of just one of those, like, meh kind of weeks.
Yeah, we all have those, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but it's better than having it be completely terrible and completely washed out, so not complaining, not complaining. Um, Anyways, thank you guys for joining. We hope you've enjoyed tonight's episode. So, let's hop into this. Tonight, we have a Let's Talk Rivalries episode, and this one is going to focus in on the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels and Y2J Chris Jericho. Now, this is a rivalry, according to you, that started back in like '02.
Yeah, so it's like it's gotten how should I put it? Its outer line started in '02 because it was like coming off the back of the Triple H and Shawn Michaels street fight at SummerSlam that year and going into the Elimination Chamber that Survivor Series that year. So it's kind of like that little like premise sort of thing. But we'll get into it. But
So this rivalry started the year I was born. So unfortunately, I don't know anything about that time period in particular. I do remember the stuff later on though around '07, '08, '09 era. So, yeah, let's hop into this. I'm going to let you do the talking because obviously you have the notes and
Mhm.
you're kind of like our go-to guide for all things wrestling. Like you know a lot more than I do. I only know like certain eras, like
Mhm.
from like '07 to 2015, 2016. Other than
And
that, it's kind of like a blur.
yeah, and I know from like kind of like maybe mid to late '80s to like current day stuff because I watch a lot of like old school stuff.
Nerd.
Nerd.
It's probably a good thing though, honestly, because you can
But
fill me in on everything that I don't know.
yeah. So luckily enough, I had found a website called the Signature Spot. Shout out to them. They went through the whole thing, from when it started to '08, '09, that era. And the person who typed this out, like they did a lot of research on this. But here's a little quote. It was like, if you're gonna have a story, have a big story or none at all. Which that is so true.
Best quote of the night.
That is best quote of the night. Yes. So let's start with the very beginning in '02. So this is like when Shawn Michaels returned in '02 to have the street fight with Triple H. Infamous moment on Raw. Triple H is like, "Is that some kind of challenge?" And then Shawn is like, "You're damn right." And it's like, oh, that even though I just said it, it made me have goosebumps.
Brings me a lot of flashbacks to the Triple H and Shawn rivalry that we covered.
And you could say that to today's product with Carmella and Trick Williams right now.
Yeah.
Um, which I'm like, okay, like, all right. But one of the prominent influencers in Sean's ear suggesting that he compete permanently was Chris Jericho. Now, as for Jericho, he's already undisputed champion. He was the main eventer, and arguably at the prime of his career trajectory within the company, his career prospects were brighter than even ever before. Now, going into like '03, this is like when it really kicked off. Um, Chris Jericho was, obsessed with ending the career of Shawn Michaels, and he always wanted to be, better than Shawn Michaels.
Didn't he even look up to Shawn?
Yeah, he even idolized Shawn. He did like all the exact same moves as Shawn.
Because I remember him saying that in like a promo or something.
Yeah. There was like one. I think it was like going into Mania. It was like Jericho had like the checkerboard like pants and the jacket and all that stuff. He had the dip dyed hair and like the very like the goatee that like doesn't really fit that time period, but it looked good on him for real. Um, and he was always saying like, I idolize you, Sean. Like I've always like, because like it showed like a side by side comparison of like Sean and Jericho doing like the moonsault off the top rope and doing like like a sweet chin music or whatever. And I was like, man, like that's like really crazy. Like he idolized this man, but it's like now he's like gonna try to end the career of Shawn Michaels, Mr. WrestleMania himself. Like that, and that's a big, huge career highlight for Jericho at that point.
Yeah.
Um, because, like I said, like he was our undisputed champion in '01. Didn't really get a fair shot in '02 because he lost to Triple H. Lol. And then coming off the heels of like SummerSlam that year in '02, winning the Elimination Chamber and Survivor Series, losing it to Triple H and Armageddon. Lol. And then that Rumble that year in '03, I think that's when Jericho costs Shawn the Rumble, I believe, because they
Ah.
were entering one and two, and it was like Shawn eliminated Jericho like within seconds of the Rumble, like going ahead, and then Jericho like went like super like ham on Shawn's back and all that stuff, and cost him and all that stuff. Um, but it was like he believed Father Time like Shawn he, Chris Jericho thought like Sean's time was passing by, and it was like it was really Jericho's era in a way, because like he was like super heelish and all that stuff, and like it's not really like like 97, 98 Shawn Michaels, so, like where he was like a huge dick to everybody, but it's like it's kind of the exact same kind of levels as that. So So we fast forward to January 19th, the Royal Rumble, which I was just talking about. It was like the person put, "Will the real Chris Jericho please stand up?" After Shawn Michaels' entrance says number one, Jericho entered at number two, but something suspicious here. It said Chris Jericho. It was his then tag team partner Christian dressed as the King of the World. This allowed Jericho to slide into the ring from behind and check Michaels. HBK was soon eliminated in 2 minutes and 31 seconds, but he would get the last laugh. Roughly like midway through, Shawn Michaels rushed back in for the distraction while Test eliminated Jericho. Jericho was he lasted 39 minutes and he was the 14th competitor eliminated. Impressive, but simply not enough to win. And then it goes into WrestleMania 19, the infamous like the infamous Mania that had like maybe 5 or 6 main event caliber matches on that show. And also the Mania where Brock Lesnar almost broke his fucking neck on a shooting star press.
Yo, I remember that.
And like I mean, that I know that's for another time, but it's like he was known for his shooting star presses in OVW, but he was like, I'm gonna do a flip, and then it's like that infamous meme. It's like the guy's like, "Do a flip," and it's like,
Dead.
um. So these two like put on a huge like main event like caliber Mania match. Like it was good storytelling from both people, from both men. Sorry. Shawn Michaels, hit sweet chip music. Won. Shawn Michaels won with a roll up pin. And it says like with emotions running high, the two embraced in the middle of the ring with a hug, but Jericho quickly spoiled the moment by kicking Shawn Michaels in the groin for a low blow.
I remember that.
It's funny that many years later we had the exact same thing on fucking AEW. Also on the card was like Brock and Austin third Mania match, Hogan and McMahon, Lesnar and Angle. So then, and it's like I think, and then it goes into Backlash that year too. It was the 6-man tag with Nash, Michaels, and Booker versus Triple H, Ric Flair, and Jericho.
Oh yes, I do remember that because of the whole fucking again Shawn Michaels and Triple H rivalry. So like in a way, like Shawn had a lot going on for him at that time period.
Yeah. So like quick little recap is like, so Michaels came back in '02, feud with Triple H, went to SummerSlam that year, fun the street fight. Awesome match, by the way. Should have main evented the show. That's my opinion. Um, went to the feud with Jericho in '03. Um, kind of ended that rivalry in '03 at Mania with Jericho. And then you're going into the Triple H rivalry and all that stuff. Well, after that match at Mania and Backlash, they did not even like catch a whiff of each other like for years until '08, until 2008. These two competed off and on through the next several years, but now we fast forward to 2008, and the landscape has drastically changed.
Yeah.
Yet Shawn Michaels and Chris Jericho were still undeniably main event talent, which that's true. Shawn Michaels was fresh off the heels of retiring Ric Flair at WrestleMania 24, with Batista setting his sights on HBK. The seeds were planted at Ric Flair's retirement ceremony, or celebration, when the animal stared him down and resented the fact that he retired Rick. Jericho found himself in the middle of the feud, when he questioned Shawn's intentions and suggested he took pleasure in retiring the Nature Boy. Not long after, Jericho was made special guest referee for the match between Michaels and Batista at Backlash that year. In this match, Shawn famously faked a knee injury to buy some recovery time, and then proceeded to nail the animal with sweet chin music to secure the victory. Very clever, calculated, and resourceful. He would do anything and everything to win the match. And it's also kind of like being like, it was like in '04, like it was the first time ever matchup between Shawn and Rick at Bad Blood in '04 that year. It
Yep.
was like, yeah, it's like a first time matchup and all that stuff. And it's like, could you imagine if like Shawn did go to like WCW at that time? Like in the Attitude Era was never, a thing. Like we would have probably gotten like shithead HBK and Ric Flair at some point. But that being said, back to the thing. During the episode of the highlight reel on Raw, Jericho awarded Shawn Michaels for the trophy of Best Actor in Sports Entertainment. Jericho called this a masterpiece performance and believed the injury was a facade. In turn, Michaels denied faking the injury and clarified if he was hurt and it was legitimate. So, going a little bit further, um, on May 5th, wow, uh, Jericho and Michaels teamed up against The Miz and John Morrison. Man, that was some
Oh
fucking great
man.
old days right there.
Yeah, fucking the dirt sheet, man. Until they got split up.
Which I mean, like, I wish they didn't really split them up, but that's all right.
The fucking draft. They sent Miz to Raw, kept Morrison on ECW for a while until they moved him to SmackDown.
Yeah. Seemingly on one good leg, Michaels hits John Morrison with Sweet Chin Music, which prompted Jericho to pin Morrison after following with a Lion Soul to win the match. At this point, John was either hurt or continuing to put on a compelling performance. Jericho admitted the following week on Raw that his mind was completely changed for questioning his integrity. Jericho intended to make a face to face apology. Shawn then admitted he wasn't hurt, which Jericho now didn't buy, but ate a sweet chin music for his denial. And then he goes, "Trust me when I tell you, I am not hurt." And then Judgment Day, all that stuff. Um, this was in Omaha, Nebraska. Wow, that's crazy. Jericho faced Shawn Michaels again, went under 16 minutes, which Shawn Michaels countered the sweet. Bleh. Shawn Michaels countered the Walls of Jericho into a straddle pin. Following the match, they both shook hands as a sign of mutual respect. And then here we get into almost to the Jericho punching his wife era.
Oh
Jericho,
God.
we're almost getting into that stuff, but I'm just gonna go a little bit further. Jericho hosted the highlight reel on June 9th with his special guest Shawn Michaels,
Yay!
who had just lost a stretcher match. Yay! Who had just lost a stretcher match against Batista the evening before at One Night Stand. Do you remember that pay per view? Not the
Unfortunately, I
ECW one, but
no. Unfortunately, I don't remember a lot of the pay-per-views because I was really young at that time.
mhm.
I didn't even know that match happened. That is crazy. Like two
Y-
top stars going at it in a fucking ambulance match.
yeah, the Shawn and Batista. Yeah, it was like they called it One Night Stand, but it was actually before it became Extreme Rules the
So what
following
is
year.
it? Was Batista heel?
Batista, I think he was about to turn heel.
Because it sounds like he'd be heel. Like Sean is like ultimate babyface at this point in the company.
This is before he goes off to Hollywood to do movies. Batista.
Oh, when he sits in the wheelchair, he's like, I quit.
Yeah. Give me what I want. um, Jericho noted, as you can hear, the fans will love you no matter what it is you do. Furthermore, he said, case in point, you feigned a knee injury for almost a month. You blatantly lied about it to me. To Batista before Shawn Michaels caught him off by reminding Chris he promised to do anything and everything to win. Jericho was visibly annoyed that Shawn was cheered more than ever after super kicking him to dispel the knee injury after over a month prior. Chris believed the fans would boo an honest man rather than cheer for Shawn. Then Chris raised a question: how does Shawn Michaels, HBK, one of the greatest performers of all time and one of the most highly decorated superstars in the history of this business, turn into a lying, cheating, pathetic little worm of a human being? And then he proceeded to clothesline HBK, threw him headfirst into the Jerotron. Jericho also promised the worst was yet to come. And if you recall, this is almost like a shot by shot retelling of the infamous barbershop segment from like when Marty and Sean broke up back in the
Yeah, when
day.
Sean turned his back on Marty.
And it was in the infamous Bruce Barber Beefcake Dark Side of the Ring episode, which is a good uh, episode. And then following that incident, the story was that Sean had suffered a detached retina. So be told. Chris Jericho blamed the entire audience for what occurred with Shawn Michaels. Ric Flair came out to confront Jericho and noted that while he is retired, nothing stops him from fighting him in the parking lot. So just don't bust hip. Um, so we're going fast forward into June of '08. Night of Champions. Shawn Michaels interfered in the match with Jericho and Kofi Kingston for the Intercontinental title, which that's a pretty good match on paper.
Yeah.
Also noteworthy thing was Lance Cade, who was trained by Shawn Michaels, became Jericho's protege at that time.
So that's why he's okay. Now it all makes sense. Okay.
God damn it! um, the next night on Raw, Jericho had his rematch against Kofi Kingston, but was ultimately DQ'd after pulling his tights. Chris also challenged Shawn to a match at the Great American Bash. Man, that's fucking way back.
Yeah.
Um, on the July 7th edition of Raw, despite not being 100%, Shawn accepted the challenge against Jericho at the Great American Bash. Jericho joined Michaels in the ring with Lance Cade by his side. And then the next week, uh, so that Raw kicked off with a Jericho Shawn Michaels pull apart brawl too. And Jericho defeated Paul London on that show.
Man, Paul London. Wow,
Paul
haven't heard
London.
that name in a while.
Yeah, like it's crazy. There's probably gonna be a lot of things that I'm probably gonna be skipping over here, but it's like I'm trying to like make it go come compact a little bit. So, Great American Bash pay per view. Jericho won by referee stoppage after relentlessly attacking Michael's eye.
Of course.
Throughout this time frame, Jericho moved away from his over-the-top Y2J gimmick and transformed into a suit-wearing, methodical heel inspired by Anton Sugar from No Country for Old Men. His cadence and vocabulary also started to borrow heavily from Nick Bockwinkel, who is like one of the old school like wrestling heads, like bookers back in the day and all that stuff.
Jericho turned into a prick.
Yeah, like a short
I
haired like
remember the face he always had when he was walking out down the
he was like
fucking ramp.
very like just very like
I'm making the face right now, and you can't
like
even see it.
I'm making the face right now too. It's just like
I
like
fucking love that.
I always like whenever I think about him wearing the suit, it's like with him with the world heavyweight title over his shoulder and
Yeah.
stuff.
Fuck.
So let's skip ahead to SummerSlam.
SummerSlam.
Shawn Michaels was joined by his wife Rebecca. We're getting to that point.
Oh no.
As they both made their way into the ring, Shawn noted he had a reevaluation with the doctor over his eye. Yay! Uh, and due to complications, along with previous knee injuries, my left knee, and, and back surgeries, um, the doctor required retirement or recommended retirement. Um, as Shawn delivered his heartfelt speech, Jericho interrupted and noted that he would not allow it. He wanted Shawn to admit that he was walking away from the business because of Chris Jericho. Shawn, in turn, asked Chris to sit his wife and kids down and let them know Daddy will never, ever be Shawn Michaels.
Damn.
Damn! And then Chris went to punch Shawn. He ducked and struck Shawn's wife.
Oh.
So here's a little excerpt from Chris Jericho's book. As Shawn and Rebecca turned their backs to walk away, I spun him around and threw a punch at his head. He ducked out of the way, leaving his wife directly in the line of fire, and I smacked her full force in the mouth. For real.
Oh.
They carted her out on a stretcher when they got backstage. I kept repeating over and over again, I'm so sorry, man, I'm so sorry. The doctors tended to Rebecca as Shawn stared at me blankly like he wanted to kill me. He finally broke the silence. I should have never allowed this to happen. This never should have happened. I can't believe I brought my family into this. If it was possible to feel worse than me, he did. We were both staring at our feet in silence, waiting to see if Rebecca was okay, when she suddenly sat up off the stretcher and looked me in the eye. Is that the best you got, Jericho? She said with a crooked smile. Shawn and I looked at each other and started laughing as I gave his wife a hug. That is
Damn.
a trooper right there.
Damn.
That is a trooper. Like she took that like full force, like in the
Yeah.
face. Like that is a trooper right there. I commend
Golly.
wholeheartedly for Shawn's wife right there. Um, so the next evening on Raw, Jericho was in the ring. And he refused to apologize for what happened at SummerSlam. He blamed Shawn and the fans for the incident. Oh boy. Okay, so we're getting to the like him being being like a government mule and all that crap. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. on In August, Shawn appeared on Raw to update everyone who asked about his wife, Rebecca. She's hurt, but gonna be okay. Shawn tried to tell himself that Chris Jericho's punch was an accident, but watched Raw as Chris blamed him and the audience and showed no remorse. Shawn offered to side anything, any waiver, any release, no rules, no liabilities. He doesn't want anyone to be responsible for the revenge he would exact on Chris Jericho. Jericho did an excellent job of highlighting the sheer danger of this match. Sean, if I accept this unsanctioned match, forget about your career. Your whole entire life will change. Sean interrupted, are you going to accept this match or tell me what I already know? Damn, that's crazy right there. That's
Yeah.
crazy. That's crazy. Um, Chris ultimately accepted it, but advised that Sean's wife and children skip watching the match as they would have been horrified, by what they see. Sean wasn't looking to steal the show. He wanted an eye for an eye. Oh boy. so then we so then we get to Unforgiven. Man. Okay. Sean and Chris Jericho, like, no joke, they beat the piss out of each other.
Yeah. I
they
remember that
beat
match.
the
I have that
piss.
match.
like
I
yeah,
That's like
like
by far one of my top 5 favorite matches of all time.
um so as it was advertised, it was Shawn Michaels versus Chris Jericho in unsanctioned fight. It says translation, anything and everything is allowed.
A fucking belt. I remember Sean was like beating the piss out of fucking Jericho with the
yeah,
belt.
and you could see like the welts on Chris Jericho's back too. Like
That and he had the belt wrapped around his fist. He was punching him in the head.
yeah. Um this also resulted in another referee stoppage after Jericho was unable to compete.
He was dead. I
He
thought
was
he was dead after that
I thought he was
match.
dead too. I was like, "Oh my god, did we just see Shawn Michaels beat a guy to death?" like,
It was
holy shit.
so fucking crazy. Like I love that match to death. I'm actually due to rewatch it, but the problem is trying to find it on YouTube, which you literally can't.
Yeah.
I have it on disc
We would
somewhere.
I can probably find it, to be honest with you.
Fuck, I could probably find it on Peacock. That's right. I got fucking Peacock.
Yeah, we both got Peacock. So, um in a
Yeah. So I'll
in a
probably have to look.
In a complete twist, complete 180, the battered Chris Jericho replaced an injured CM Punk after he was attacked by Legacy later that night and entered the scramble match for the World Heavyweight Championship.
How? He came back to life?
It's like the evidence is something like, bring me back, like, bring me to life.
Like he literally came back from the dead just to compete again. Like what the hell?
It was like, I think it was like, it was like maybe, not even maybe, like an hour after the match with Sean.
Damn.
It was like, okay. So while Batista was distracted by Rey Mysterio, you are my friend. Uh, the opportunistic Jericho pinned Kane as time ran out. Jericho was once again king of the world as your new world heavyweight champion.
Damn.
So it's like the rationale behind this move was based on the fact that his feud with Shawn was so hot that Vince felt a title deserved to be up for grabs. That's what it says.
Damn.
Now, okay, I don't think it really needed a title, to be honest with you. That's just me. Because it was like go back to, like, Rock and Austin. Like, yeah, like the first two matches had a title up for grabs, yes, but the third match, like, it didn't have really any stakes involved. It was just like, Austin was just going off into the sunset. I'm gonna go off into the sun, son. And then Rock, like, he's going off to Hollywood, back off to Hollywood. So it's like, it didn't really, need anything. Um, so, um, so the next night, Chris noted that since it was an unsanctioned match against Shawn, it really never existed. He further reminded us that he's an honest, righteous man and now is the champion. And we are now forced to recognize that just how good Chris Jericho is.
Oh god.
Near the conclusion of this fantastic promo was Chris's most potent line. Shawn Michaels told me a month ago that I would never be him. He's right. I'm not Shawn Michaels. I'm better.
Uh,
The disgust in your voice, like,
It's just funny because like I know the feud that comes after Sean, and it's kind of funny. It's like,
Yeah. So we'll get to that. We'll get to
yeah,
that. So the next week, Jericho. This is going into No Mercy that year.
yeah,
Chris Jericho's No Mercy opponent was revealed, and the general manager Mike Adamley. Do you remember Mike Adamley?
nope.
I guess nobody does either. So, took to the stage and that noted that JBL and Batista will square off to determine the number one contender against the champion. Confused Jericho wondered if he meant by the champion. Adam Lee noted the championship needed to be defended at No Mercy, and that an individual approached him about a match against Jericho he couldn't pass up. As Adam Lee promised to introduce the challenger, he walked backstage, which led to a pregnant pause. Shawn Michaels' music plays. The arena comes unglued. Shawn asked, "What could you and I possibly do to each other? Is there any way we can top ourselves? More importantly, is there a match that is not only thrilling, not only exhilarating, but will allow me to permanently disfigure you in ways that I can't even imagine?" And then it hit me. There's a match that some people I put on the map. There is a match that some people say I revolutionized, and it's a match that allowed me to beat you for the World Heavyweight Championship. So at No Mercy is going to be the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels versus Chris Jericho for the World Heavyweight Championship NA. And then at that point, like a few crew members brought a ladder. It says
Yeah.
brought up a ladder is Shawn Michaels screaming ladder match from up top. And it says Chris looked visibly concerned as he hid behind the larger Lance Cade.
Oh boy.
um, so, the creme de la creme, No Mercy, October 5th, 08. Oh boy. And I think this was the main event too. If
As it
I'm,
should be.
um, man, what a match too. Like, to like encapsulate the rivalry as a whole too. Because yeah, Shawn Michaels was the person that made the ladder match more prominent at that time, and he was in the very first like ladder match on WWF programming in '92 with Brett.
Yeah.
And so like like over the years like he's always like, yeah, I've been in more ladder matches than anybody. It's like we get that, but like come on. And Chris and Shawn, like, man, they literally beat the piss out of each other in that match too. Like, no joke. I remember the fucking teeter totter spot that they had with the belt, and they're like trying to like hold on to it and trying to knock each other off and shit. Man, like, so the closing stretch, uh, both men were trying to grab onto the championship in a glorified tug of war. Jericho landed a headbutt that forced Michaels off the ladder, thus landing on the floor. Jericho retrieved the championship to prove once and for all that he is not Shawn Michaels, but better. That ladder match earned Match of the Year from Wrestling Observer that year.
Wow.
In describing this epic feud, Shawn Michaels had the following to say. This is what he says. Chris was talking about it while we were doing it. Michael said. He kept saying, "Geez, they need to make a DVD on this."
They
the thing,
should.
the thing is, we love working with each other. We're very similar in our creative process. We're two guys who push each other and challenge each other and love every second of it. And I think the greatest thing about that rivalry was that no one had a game plan. It was something that just came about, and each week Chris and I, sort of just got together and we would just do this process. He and I spent countless hours in the writer's office with ideas. I don't know if you can hear in our voices, but we really enjoyed working with each other. Um, and the Wrestling Observer in Pro Wrestling Illustrated, along with countless other uh, publications, listed Shawn Michaels versus Chris Jericho as the best feud of '08 that year.
Wow,
So,
that's huge.
um, so what really propelled the story to be revered as one of the greatest feuds of all time? It's actually one where it's believability. To be honest with you, um, it's like there's only like a few feuds that like evoke the exact same like response to this, and one that comes to my mind is Johnny Gargano versus Champa,
Okay.
because it's kind of the exact same thing that Gargano and Ciampa went through, because at the end of Takeover Chicago, I think 2 in 2018, um, Ciampa turned on Gargano and turned heel for the first time,
Ah, okay.
and he put Gargano like on the shelf for like maybe like a week or two, like a few weeks or something. It wasn't like long, but it was like the ultimate heel turn, and everybody hated Champa. Everybody hated him. Like they were there was one it was Takeover New Orleans in 2019, and it was an unsanctioned match between Gargano and Champa, and people were cheering Gargano, but nobody was cheering Champa at all. Like they they had no music for Champa. There was no music for Champa.
Damn.
He came out to complete silence, and then you hear boo, boo, like complete boos, like the Rumble '04 match that we saw with the last man standing between Triple H and Shawn. It was like that kind of nuclear heat.
Wow,
It
that's
was
bad.
it was really bad, but it was such a good like heel turn for Champa at that time.
Yeah.
Um, and then the matches themselves, like they had an unsanctioned match, they had a Chicago street fight, and then they had a last man standing match at three respective takeover pay-per-views.
Jeez.
Um, and their like last match, if you want to call it that in air quotes, was during the pandemic. Like, God, fucking 4 years ago now.
Yeah.
Uh, um, but that's like the one storyline that I can think of that comes to my mind with this much nuclear heat that we have between Michaels and Jericho. But nobody was punching people's wives or anything. So
It's just funny, like, after Jericho and Shawn's feud ends, another big wrestling star is creeping up on the heels of Jericho, and it's none other than fucking John Cena.
yep. It's like it's so crazy that like it's like I wish they could have just gave Jericho like more time with the World Heavyweight Championship, because he won it in September, defended it in October, and then what, it was like Survivor Series that year he loses it to Cena, so not even 2 months.
Yeah, fucking Cena's their top dog, you know? He's like the modern day Roman Reigns, and back in the day, like, Cena was untouchable. Like, you could not beat him.
Only a few people could beat him though,
Yeah, only
and
a
Sean
few.
and Sean was one of those people.
Yep.
Um, but man, like this rivalry as a whole, it's like it cannot be touched. It cannot.
No, it's so good.
It's like the storytelling that both men went through, and they spent countless hours perfecting this storyline to be believable. And props to Jericho, Sean, and Rebecca, Sean's wife, for going through with it. And hats off to Rebecca for taking that fucking mean ass punch straight to the face. Like, holy shit, like that is crazy.
Yeah.
Um, but like, there's only a few feuds that can like do that, and like Sean and Jericho, like and plus they've gone on to like have lengthy careers and all that stuff. Like I mean, more so like Jericho, but like it's like I don't know. It's like if I had to rank this feud in like a top five, I would say this is like easily maybe number one of
Ah,
it. Well, kind of, but
yeah.
it depends on like what you put it at.
For
I would
me,
say
it's like I feel like I'd be at number three. It's a solid number three because there's only like two other feuds in my lifetime that I really preferred over that one. That's hard to say. Triple H and Shawn is like my number one.
yeah, I could see that. I would say like Triple H and Jericho or Triple H and Jericho. Well, Triple H and Jericho at some point. Um, Triple H and Shawn's like easily number one. Maybe under that, I would put Shawn and Jericho. Maybe number
So my
three.
one, two, and three, Shawn and Triple H, Cena and Orton, and then Shawn and Jericho.
Cena, man, fucking Cena,
Cena and
man.
Orton is fucking amazing. We've covered that too, by the way, guys. If you haven't seen that already, you probably should check that out. As well as the Triple H and Shawn Michaels rivalry. That's probably one of the first ones we've actually have ever covered on the show. If I were you guys, I would go check them out. Both of those rivalries are absolutely amazing.
Mhm.
Um, so that's going to wrap up our coverage on the Triple H and Chris, not Triple H, excuse me, Shawn Michaels. You got me talking about Triple H, Shawn Michaels and Chris Jericho rivalry. We hope you enjoyed. If you guys remember the matches from that rivalry, which one is your favorite out of all of them? Like I said, I think my favorite is probably going to be that unsanctioned brawl.
Yeah, I would say I would say either. That's a tough one to be honest with you. I would say maybe more the WrestleMania 19 match that they had.
Ah, the classic.
Because like Jericho did a little like shimmy sham, and then like he did the sweet chin music of his own.
And the
Did
low
put
blow
him,
at the end.
yeah, um, but like it is so crazy that like years later they're still talking about Jericho and Shawn. Like they're still
Yeah.
talking about him to this day. It's like it's one of those rivalries that will never fade away.
It'll never be forgotten ever.
Oh
It's like
no,
one of those rivalries that have to be put on a pedestal every time you think about wrestling.
yeah, of course. Wow,
So,
that was a mouthful. Whew.
so our next episode scheduled for this Sunday, we are running back random ranking Def Leppard edition. We haven't done Def Leppard edition in a little while. I think since it was one of the two holidays. Once again, it was either Christmas or Halloween.
It was Halloween because we did the trick or treat
The
one.
trick or treat one. Oh man. So this list that we have for songs that are up for grabs, this is probably by far going to be the hardest list I have done yet on this entire podcast. Um, I am completely shocked by the 10 songs that popped up. So starting at number one, going all the way to number 10. Don't Shoot Shotgun. Two steps behind the original acoustic version. Let's Get Rocked. Ride Into the Sun. Switch 625, but it's the Jurassic Symphonies edition. Desert Song, Heaven Is, Paper Sun, another hit and run, and ending it all with Work It Out. Oh my god.
This is gonna be a doozy.
As soon as I saw the three retroactive songs, I'm like, we're fucked. Like, this is like, finally, retroactive is getting some time in the spotlight on this show because retroactive is so slept on. It's Def Leppard's compilation album full of B-sides and rarities, tracks that you've never heard before, or tracks that were on B-side singles from, back in the day.
Hmm.
And as soon as I saw those three songs, I'm like, we're in trouble. And then I saw Paper Sun, and I'm like, yeah, we're definitely in trouble.
Yeah, we're fucked.
Yeah, so
We're fucked.
and it's just funny because we just did the breakdown of Euphoria not too long ago, so it's kind of fitting. I am very excited to get into this on Sunday. You guys would not want to miss it, so be sure to tune in that night. So, Dystro, you have our song for the evening. What do you have?
All right, so I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with the Daltrey song, actually.
Ooh, Chris Daughtry.
Yes. I'm gonna do "It's Not Over."
Ooh, one of his big hits, one of the classics.
Yes. Like I had another song in mind, but then I was like, man, I fucking forgot it. It's like,
I feel so bad for Chris Daughtry because a lot of his stuff is considered dad rock, but it's like you got to look at it in the bigger picture. He was an American Idol contestant who finished fourth. He should have won the whole show. But then again, sometimes it's good not to win because look where it gets you. You actually kind of get farther than some of the people that have won. And he's a prime example. He finished fourth place, and he's huge. He has done so much stuff on his own. He's done tours. He's produced. He's done a whole bunch of albums. He's done collaborations with other artists and bands. Like he's doing amazing for himself, and I'm actually really glad you picked that song. It's Not Over by Chris Daughtry. That is tonight's song of the night. If you would like to take a listen to that, I will go ahead and put a link at the top right hand corner at the end of this episode. It'll pop up. There is a music video. So go on ahead, take a listen, watch the video. It's great, honestly. Good vibes. Like throws you back to like '08 when this album came out.
mm-hmm.
So, if you stuck around to the very end, we greatly appreciate your support. Be sure to go on ahead and follow us on social media by clicking on that link in the description below, which will take you to Linktree. We have Instagram, TikTok, Reddit, and Twitter. Please be sure to follow us there to keep up to date with the show, as well as our YouTube community tab. You just go to our channel, click on that community tab on the bar, and all of our updates will pop up there as well. In case something goes wrong, one of us can't make it, or episode change. You just never know.
Yeah.
Also, Dystro's YouTube channel is there as well, where he posts gaming content weekly and memes. He's posts memes on there too. Trying to get you up to 1,400 subscribers by June 1st. So what are you at right now?
I'm at 1,333.
1333.
It's like
1333.
sounds like a total three number. It's like 1,333.
So I mean, it's not impossible. Like we still have a while to go until June 1st. So I think you'll make it. But can't do it without the help of you guys. So please do me a favor. Go ahead and subscribe to Dystro, please, and go watch his stuff. His stuff's pretty funny. Especially like his GTA content. And we just did some Roblox like the other night with
Yep.
Murder Mystery with our friend Corey, and I was a frog.
That frog was getting down, bro.
Yeah, that frog was getting down. So please go watch his stuff. It's absolutely amazing. Um, Once again, take a listen to tonight's song of the night. It's Not Over by Chris Daughtry, and that's it. Thanks for listening, guys, and we'll catch you guys this Sunday. Peace.
Peace.